on the outside and you're going to stay on the outside.
Okay, so I have a question on the cortisol issue. So if I would assume that an open posture is going to help lower cortisol, or a more comfortable body framework, or if you're mirroring the person, that's going to make you more comfortable in that natural setting. Am I on the right track there?
You are on the right track. Yes.
Okay, so in the lowering of the cortisol, then you're going to speak more, I guess, authentically. Your blood pressure, heart rate's going to go down. You're going to be able to think more clearly, make better decisions in that interaction. Okay. Yes. Are there things that you can do that would have the same effect externally on the other person, so that you can get them to a better decision-making framework as well?
Absolutely. So there's this thing called mirror neurons, and it's or emotional contagion, right? It's how I feel and how I position myself. I can actually encourage you to feel the same way. So if I'm confident and I'm speaking and thinking with my prefrontal cortex versus my limbic brain, I'm authentic. I have this demeanor of openness. I'm very comfortable. I'm relaxed. At some point, you're going to start to mirror me and you're going to become relaxed. I use this in countless interrogations when I was with people who would try to push my buttons or try to antagonize me or coax me into an argument. All I had to do is maintain that level of calmness and confidence. And at some point they mirror that demeanor and start to settle down. So when they're settled, now they're outside of their limbic brain and they're making more informed decisions.
Well,
how do you actively decide to do those things when maybe you're already kind of in a tailspin of heightened levels of cortisol and tightening up and closing off, and internally you're freaking out? It sounds really easy to say, okay, well, I'm just going to be calm.
No.
But I would have done that a long time ago.
Do you mean for you, Sanger? So if that's how you're feeling?
I mean, for me right now, I'm nervous. Y'all know how to shoot guns and beat people up.
Haven't done it for a long time, but I think it is. I think it's self-awareness comes to that, and also having some. Like today, I'm nervous because my lights in my little office, one of them blew out. So I've got a silly light here and I know it's not working for me. Plus the air conditioner is not working and I'm hot. Ooh. Lena's saying how cold she was before.
I'm freezing.
I'm hot. So when you have those factors contribute to, and you've got to be aware of those things, those factors can contribute to how you feel. So thinking about what can you control externally to help you feel more comfortable, which will help you feel more confident. So being aware, so at the moment, I feel nervous, not because I don't like talking to you, but because some things went wrong, and I have to be aware of that and the impact of that, and then just bring myself back into a more calm state. So lots of different things can impact how we feel. Some of them are up here in our head and some of them are external, and just being aware of the impact of that and having some strategies to move past that can help as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm interested, Lena, when you were talking about doing interrogations, you were finding that people that you were interrogating were trying to push your buttons and antagonize you. You found that often?
Very often. And that was when I was in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, but it was also when I worked on the TV show called Couples Court for 3 years. I would be sitting across from a litigant and questioning them on accusations. And there were some who, to divert off that topic because they had guilty knowledge or they were guilty of something, they would try to push my buttons, get me excited, so I forgot to ask a question or I would get off topic. So it's so,
do you
important.
think that was intentional, or do you think that those people are just antisocial and rude?
Well, it can be both. It can be both. Yeah.
I think it's actually a strategy for deceptive people. I have kind of three characters when I teach. I have truthy, fancy, and decepty. And truthy, yeah, very mature, I know. Truthy is the person that you're dealing with that is telling you the truth. They want to tell you the truth. They have nothing to hide. Or maybe they have something to hide, but they're going to tell you it anyway. Decepty has already decided that they're going to not tell the truth before the interaction, whether that's an interview or a date or whatever it is. And fancy is somewhere in between, kind of weighing up what's going on, what are you asking, what's the impact, how good are you at what you do, all of that. So when Lena talks about couples court, some of those people that she would have been dealing with are absolutely deceptive. They're going, no way, Jose, am I going to tell the truth here, because I know what the result is. So a lot of deceptive people, when they've already jumped into deceptive camp, then they start to think about strategies. What might I do? And often they don't do it very well. But things that Lena is talking about, where they're trying to sort of steamroll her and throw things back at her, they're very much intentional deceptive strategies.
I think we've all met people and noticed that they aren't authentic, whether it's the things that they're saying or just something is a little bit off about how they're acting. And I feel like I notice that a lot. I feel a lot of times I'll point that out to people and go, I just don't like that person. Yep. Maybe other people don't really see what I see. And maybe I'm just a jerk and don't like people. But I've never been able to consciously say, well, that person wasn't very authentic in that interaction because, of where his elbow was on the table at the time he told me the story about. I got nothing on body language awareness of other people. I might be aware occasionally on a good day of my own body language. But
you're over-assessing your own skills there.
Maybe I don't know.
So never.
No.
Yeah, never am aware. I got some language for you with this fist later. But I'm curious, Lena, what was a time when you had that experience that really stood out to you where you go, wow, I can read this like a book that this person is lying to me? And what were they doing?
Well, I'll tell you this. I'll start off because I can't think of one particular individual because I've conducted thousands of interviews and interrogations. But I will tell you, you have to study all of the indicators, right? And you can pick up any book on body language. You can watch a YouTube video, but you have to understand that people are different. So one thing that you see in one person may not mean the same thing that you see in another person. But there's one indicator that is probably the most accurate indicator of deception, and it's called behavioral incongruency. It's when your verbal patterns of speech don't match your nonverbals, right? So if I tell you that I'm super excited to be on this podcast today, but then I shrug my shoulders, okay, that's incongruent. Because a shoulder shrug every single time, 100% of the time, means uncertainty. It doesn't mean anything else. It is uncertainty. When a person is being deceptive with you, it's not going to match the words. So if I say, I love doing this podcast, this is saying I'm uncertain of what I'm saying, right? But if I tell you, I have no idea what I'm going to eat for dinner tonight, that's congruent. My words are matching my shoulder shrug. Sure. So it's okay. If I look at you and I say, you know what, Sankar, I like that idea. I'm open to hearing more about it. But all of a sudden I've closed off. That's incongruent. You should be...
Yeah, you cross your arms.
You should be saying, I'm open to hearing what you have. Give it to me. That's congruent.
You even leaned back, which made me uncomfortable.
It
was like you were saying,
get away.
Like, I'll let you share this dumbass idea just so I can hear how bad it is.
But you picked up on something.
I always read about people, turning their feet towards you or away from you. Yeah. In an interaction. How much truth is there to that kind of body language interpretation?
There's a lot of
Would that be an indication of behavioral incongruency?
No, that's an indication of the mind went somewhere else, right? So if you have somebody's attention, usually their belly button and their feet are going to be directed towards you because that's usually where our attention's going. The moment that I've lost interest, I may pivot. I may go to a door. I may go to another room, another person. But that's that shift that says, you don't have my full attention. It doesn't mean I'm lying to you. It doesn't mean anything. It just means I'm not fully engaged at that moment. When I'm in a conversation with someone, I shift and I get in line again, right? Because if this is a good conversation, I need some information from you, I need to have all of your attention. Now, if they shift again at some point, then I'm going to try another tactic. But that can just say, hey, I've lost interest. But here's the other thing, and Elly will back me up on this. You have to baseline people. Did that person just shift because they lost interest or they have a sciatic nerve problem and their lower back is killing them and they have to take weight off, right? So you can't jump the gun and automatically assume what people think and if they're lying because we're not mind readers. What we're doing is we're analyzing nonverbal signals and matching them up to the verbal words.
And with that, sometimes transitions count more than positions. So it's not so much that somebody folded their arms. When did that happen? When did it align? with, and also thinking about the external factors, such as, has someone got a sore back? That's why they're, fidgeting, or they need to go to the bathroom, and that's why they're kind of,
fidgety.
So one of the things I teach people is I have this imaginary voice on my shoulder that when I see something that doesn't match, or something that doesn't look right, or something that doesn't feel right, I have this little voice that comes up my shoulder that says, "That's interesting." And that's just, I know, maybe I need some help with that, but that's just how I've trained myself, and I've trained hundreds of students with that too. It's funny, I see them like 10 years later, and they come up to me and they go, "That's interesting." and so it really stuck in their head. But what that is just to alert yourself that something doesn't seem to be matching, or something doesn't feel right in my gut, or something has changed, or something. But don't jump to conclusions. Don't go, "Aha, 1 + 1 = 2, yay," because it might not. But but the first step, every time is noticing it, because you can't do anything with it if you don't notice it. But if you notice it, now you've got something to work with, and
then you can observe patterns.
Well, then you might at least there's talk about decisions. You can make a decision then to ask more questions, to do more investigation, go Google the person, whatever the situation you're in. You can make that decision to investigate more if you see or feel that initial, conflict or whatever it is, or, your voice comes up on your shoulder.
Sure. No, that's fascinating. I would imagine that happens so much as a police officer. We have this TV show. I'm sure that you've seen it in Australia, Cops, right? And by the way, I want to ask you, does that almost seem like a slur? The word cop? It's like, because there are certainly things that you can say about police officers that are not, hey, you were a pig in a past life. No, that's an awful thing to say, right? Yeah. That one I know is a no-go. Cop, it's like borderline.
I'm fine with it. And you'll see in some of the things that we write in the Truth Sisters Academy, I say Aussie cop, former Aussie cop, former military interrogator. So, we're kind of putting it out there.
Well,
that's what we are.
I figured it's not that bad. I don't know. It's just something. It's the hard P, It's so short and curt.
Yeah.
It's a one syllable. Anyway, so the show Cops, I watch the show, and I don't know. I guess I'm gullible. Everybody says they didn't do it, and I'm like, oh man, what a poor guy. He just got caught in a bad situation.
Those aren't my drugs. In that pants. These aren't my pants. Imagine you were driving shirtless through a neighborhood you don't live in at 4 a.m. and somebody snuck in while you were parked to visit your friend, who lives in the windowless house, and they snuck drugs under you. That would be bad. I don't know. I guess
it happens.
But the cops seem to always know. They always know. So how often did that happen to you, where you're able to? And I'm sure there are other clues besides body language, right? Yeah. The smell of the amphetamines, probably is going to be a key indicator. But how often was that happening where you can just tell, man, these people are awful liars?
Well, there's a whole, and you highlighted some of the other factors and some of the other elements of that if this is happening and this is happening and this is happening and this is happening, it's probably that. And so you don't know for sure, but it's probably that. I remember the very first interview I did as a police officer was like first week out of the academy. I thought I knew how to do everything. And it was a shoplifter at a department store in Melbourne. And my partner and I, who was also freshly graduated, we went down, we marched down to the security back room thinking that we knew everything and we're going to get our first brief of evidence and put someone in jail. Yay, we're so cool. and so this guy's sitting in the back, and we thought he was really old. He was like 40 something, like, man, this old guy. And I just thought it would be easy. I said, did you steal that jacket? He said, no. I'm like, crap, he's supposed to say yes.
Well, I guess you're free to go then, yes.
No. All you do is ask it again. Did you steal that jacket? No. Like, damn, okay, I think I need to learn more. And that was actually, that first experience was when I realized that they didn't teach us enough at the police academy. They taught us the basics. The rest you had to learn on the job and then dive into more learning, which is what I've done since then.
What do you guys think in your